Coinbase is moving higher today in reaction to news that the stock is finally getting approval for its crypto futures platform. This is obviously big news for Coinbase, as Coinbase will now be the first crypto native lender to directly offer traditional spot crypto trading alongside regulated and leveraged crypto futures on an integrated trading solution for our verified customers. And that's a quote from the company today. And what I'll do in this video is I'll go over this recent news, I'll go over the financials of the company, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give a price prediction on Coinbase based on technical analysis. So with that being said, let's jump right in. So specifically, the company received approval from the NFA, a CFTC designated self-regulatory organization, to operate a future commissions merchant. And Coinbase had filed the application actually back in 2021 in September. So this has been a long time coming. The global crypto derivatives market represents about 75% of crypto trading volume worldwide. Coinbase said the ability to trade using margin gives customers leverage and access to the crypto market with less upfront investment than traditional spot trading. The company said it will provide in the coming months additional information to its verified US customers on how to actually access these future offerings. So this isn't going to be active tomorrow. It's going to take a couple months, but this is a huge day in crypto's history, a huge day for Coinbase. And like I've said for a long time, Coinbase is the safest publicly traded exchange for crypto, really the safest exchange in the world, because it's publicly traded, because it's regulated. It has regular audits and has to report its financials to the market and obviously regulators, every quarter. So with that being said, though, let's take a look at the financials for Coinbase. So we can see here that obviously the company isn't EPS positive. They're not making money right now, but EV to sales is at 6.6 times, which is well above the sector median of 3. And we do have a price to book ratio of 3.2. For those that don't know, this price to book ratio just puts the market cap relative to the book value of the company. So this tells you that the market cap is 3.2 times the book value of Coinbase. So overall, this 3.26 level is actually a pretty good one. It ranks out pretty poor when you compare it to the sector, of course, because we're kind of, comparing to other exchanges out there, and there really isn't a publicly traded pure play crypto exchange out there, so it's kind of a tough comp. But overall, valuation does look pretty poor just because we're not making any money, but price to book value looks honestly pretty solid, and better than you would probably think. And then let's take a look at the growth metrics for Coinbase. So Coinbase saw its revenue drop 55% last year, and then over the next 12 months, revenue projections are said to drop 27%. So, we're below, obviously, the sector median. We're below Coinbase's 5-year average. Therefore, the growth numbers are looking pretty poor for this company. And then with that being said, let's take a look at the profitability metrics for Coinbase. So we can see here that the gross profit margin is at 84%, which is actually a pretty good number. It ranks out well above the sector median at 59%. And it actually is 43% higher than the sector median. And in terms of cash per share, which is definitely necessary when you have a company that isn't making any money, right? In terms of cash per share, the cash position for the company makes up about 27% of the market cap for Coinbase. So that definitely implies that the company has sufficient cash on hand to fund its future operations. With that being said, though, let's take a look at how Coinbase ranks out to the other crypto peers, along with the other exchanges like CME Group. So let's start off with valuation. Obviously, like I said, Coinbase doesn't make any money, but 3 years out, we're projected to have a negative 69 times PE, a negative 11 times PE for Mara. So, kind of looking at all these numbers, obviously Coinbase is ranking out pretty poorly relative to peers in terms of PE, But like I said, this price to book ratio is actually pretty solid. So we're at a 3.2 for Coinbase, and then this actually ranks out better than Mara and better than PayPal, and basically in line with CME and Square. So overall, price to book ratio on a price to book basis, the company isn't really overvalued relative to peers. But obviously, if you look at PE, things don't look very rational. So let's take a look at the growth rate for the company, and I'll do Coinbase a favor here. I'll look at the 3-year compounded annual growth rate, not just the last year, which has obviously been pretty poor as crypto volumes have slumped. So compounded annual growth rate is 60% for Coinbase, which is well below Mara, well below Riot, and well below the other crypto peers. And this number ranks out basically in line with Square and well above the exchange peers. So overall, growth metrics do look solid. And then let's take a look at the profitability numbers for the company. So we can see here that Coinbase has a 85% gross profit margin. For those that don't know, this basically just tells you what a company makes on what it sells. So it's simply just revenue minus cost of goods sold. It's just a good metric for profitability. And then we can see that this number actually ranks out as the second highest gross profit margin out of all these peers, with CME Group obviously being a pure play exchange at 100%. With that being said, though, let's take a look at the balance sheet for the company. So we can see that the company has $5 billion in cash and $3.5 billion in debt. So that means that they have $1.6 billion more cash than they do debt. This is very crucial for the company, and it definitely sets up the company to have enough cash on hand to fund its future operations, right? Because their net operating cash flow was at minus $528 million over the past 12 months. So that means that the company is basically burning $500 million every year. Therefore, the company needs sufficient cash on hand to fund its future operations. Luckily, we do have that here with about $1.6 billion more cash than debt, which means that the company could fund its future operations without any share issuance or even any new debt, for the next, couple years at least. So that is awesome to see there. Very important. But with that being said, that's enough of the financials. Let's take a look at what Wall Street thinks about Coinbase. So we can see here that Piper Sandler increased their price target to $80 for Coinbase and maintained a neutral rating on the 8th of this month. And then we also saw H.C. Wainwright & Co. increase their price target to $115 and maintain their buy rating. And then we saw JPM Securities increase their price target to $107 and maintain their outperform rating. And so this has been a very consistent theme. This increase in price targets for the stock over the past month or so has been very, very widespread. We see Wedbush kept their outperform rating and increased their price target to $110. So overall, there are 7 bearish firms on Coinbase and 7 bullish firms on Coinbase. 8 are basically undecided. So the average price target is actually $72, which is right around where shares are trading. Shares are trading about $79 currently. And then the lowest price target is $27 and the highest price target is $200. So what does this tell me? This tells me that on Wall Street, there are a wide range of opinions, and this is kind of a battleground stock, meaning that, Wall Street is not really, there isn't a general consensus on this stock right now. So I think that will likely breed opportunity and also volatility within Coinbase, just because all these large institutions have a wide range of opinions and price targets on the stock, which is going to cause them to throw a large amount of money, long or short. So that is going to cause some volatility for Coinbase. So with that being said, though, let's take a look. We're talking about institutions, right? And we just got 13F updates earlier this week, which for those that don't know, once a quarter, basically all the asset managers have to disclose their positions in a specific stock. So we got that for Coinbase earlier this week. So let's take a look at some of the position changes for the largest shareholder. So the largest shareholder now is actually the Vanguard Group. And the Vanguard Group actually owns, they increase their stake by 7%. They own about 13 million shares. So this is obviously a big jump and definitely does imply, that the company is becoming more and more bullish on the stock, which is obviously a good thing. And then also, or excuse me, that they actually only increased their position by 1%. Sorry about that. And then ARK Invest disclosed their investment actually last month, but they increased their shares by almost 3% and move up to the second largest holder in Coinbase with 12 million shares. And then we can see here that this Chinese firm had increased their holdings by 6% and has now about 9.1 million shares. Then Nico Asset Management also owns 8 million. And then BlackRock even had bought more, although that was a couple months ago, I should say. And then looking at State Street here. So State Street actually increased their position in Coinbase by 17%, which I thought was pretty interesting. Renaissance Technologies increased their position by 84%, so they now own 3 million shares. Morgan Stanley sold, and we saw Goldman Sachs actually nearly triple their position in the stock. So they actually own 1.9 million shares, and that's a 365% increase over the quarter. So good signs to see that these large asset managers are kind of, moving into the stock. And then let's take a look at Charles Schwab here. So Charles Schwab increased their position by 8% and now owns basically 600,000 shares. So this all tells me that the largest asset managers in the world are increasing exposure towards Coinbase, which is very interesting, right? And why are they picking now? Well, let's take a look at some of the short interest data, and then I'll jump into the chart and give a price prediction on the stock and see if now is a good time to buy Coinbase based on technical analysis. So with that being said, we can see that short percent of float is actually about 15%, which is definitely a good chunk of the float being sold short. And we see days to cover at 1.6, which means that it takes 1.6 days of average volume to cover the shares that are sold short, and also it's worth noting that we got updated short interest data last week, and that showed that shorts actually declined by 30% in Coinbase. So definitely seeing a drop in short interest, which is a good sign for the stock. But with that being said, let's jump into this chart here and try to give a price prediction based on technical analysis. So we're coming down to this 50-day moving average, which is where shares had bottomed on Monday. It's where shares had bottom on Tuesday of this week. It's also where shares had bottom actually intraday today. Off of that bullish news, we saw a pretty good run up, but now we really lost all those gains and we're coming back down to that 50 DMA. So I expect this 50 DMA to act as support for the company, and we see it move higher over the coming weeks. And a large part of my thesis behind this 50 DMA holding and we get a move higher is the fact that we have significant bullish momentum for the stock. So the stock currently trades above all daily moving averages, and we saw the 50-day moving average cross above the 200-day moving average on June 30th. So for those that don't know, that's called a golden cross and basically implies bullish momentum. So that's definitely a good signal for the stock. And obviously we got that in late June, so that's a little bit dated. But that bullish momentum trend definitely still persists throughout the stock, which is a good sign. So with all that being said, I do think this 50 DMA holds and we likely move higher. How high? Well, that's a good question. there is a major resistance point at $85, which is where shares had topped out in February. It's also where shares had topped out in March of this year. So past resistance, will act as resistance once again once it's tested. So we're coming up to this resistance level at $85. I think a good quick move would be from about 79 where we are now to about 85. I think that's a very logical price target in terms of a trade. But if we were to break over this $85 level, I think we could see a larger move higher up to about $115, which is where shares had topped out in July. And it's also where shares had topped out in August of last year. So the next real major level of resistance once this $85 level is broken is $115. So be on the lookout. I think this move from 79 to 85 is kind of my high confidence call. And then if we're able to move over this $85 resistance level and we're able to, obviously close one daily candle, confirm the level, then I do believe we could see a larger move higher. And I do think this recent sell-off is definitely losing some steam. So since the start of this month, we've seen volumes definitely slump, which anytime you have a drop in price coinciding with a drop in volume, that typically signals a reversal in trend. And so, I'm really just looking for that trend to reverse off of this 50-day moving average, which is what volume is implying. And I believe this 50 DMA holding for 3 days in a row when it's tested definitely signals that this level is being watched by traders, and we could see a move higher over the coming weeks for Coinbase. So the chart still looks very good for Coinbase, and I think we likely hold here and move higher. And then in terms of the financials, you definitely want to see the company kind of execute and move towards profitability before you kind of jumped in head first. Obviously, this is a great company to own within the crypto space, and it's more of a holistic bet on the crypto industry rather than buying an individual coin. I definitely think it's a better investment into crypto than buying an individual cryptocurrency. It's like I said, it's more of a holistic investment. If it's better than Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's obviously debatable. But Coinbase is basically like buying the industry rather than buying a specific crypto miner or cryptocurrency. So it's more of a holistic bet on the market. But with that being said, obviously huge news for Coinbase. Great news for shareholders. I'll end the video there. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got some value from this video, please leave a like. We post company breakdowns and important market moving news on this channel on a daily basis, so make sure you are subscribed. If you would like to receive my daily portfolio moves, my exits, my entries, and see how me and my team of analysts are trading the markets, join the Discord through the link in the description below to get our free 7-day trial. Also, if you would like to join our free daily newsletter, sign up to our Substack, which is linked below as well. With that being said, good luck everyone. Happy trading, happy investing.